But the rules for design for the screen do overlap into other areas. So if you've if you're interested in multimedia developing, there are rules for developing for displays, smartphones, iPads, whatever. Always understand the media that you're going to be using. The other great thing about storyboarding is about world, building worlds, and that's why I'm interested in RPGs as well. In storyboarding, you often get the first chance to see the world of the story come to life, but you've got to remember what the rules are. So if you've got a character looking like me, he's got to look like me all the way through. You can't suddenly change colour, hair, or not wear glasses, etc. It's a very difficult thing when writing a novel, and some of the best authors make that mistake sometimes. But consistency is important. And you want to be able to demonstrate characters. This is a particular thing in comic book design, is that your characters have got to be recognisable on every single page. There's nothing worse than, is that character the one that we saw earlier on? Anything with uncertainty, that's no good. So, how the viewer would have seen the shot might sound pretty obvious, but I think it's always a good idea to remember every audience, so how the client is going to see the shot. Your client might be the director, might be an investor, it might be yourself, or it might be a shop or something. But you've got to try and remember that you've got to appeal to different types of people. So I said that about world con, remember where things are. So if a cup on a table is on the left-hand side, unless the character's moved it, it should stay on the left-hand side. And so you must be very careful in your storyboarding, like the rest of the production process, continuity. If you're going to change the camera angle, make sure that the user understands in the storyboard that you're moving around. Oh, and make it exciting. I've seen lots of storyboards, especially when you start out storyboarding, where, and naturally so, people want to try and capture the core elements of the storyboard, but they forget that you've got that chance to create a sense of excitement on the screen with your drawing. So, if it means that you've got to put whoosh lines on, arrows to explain that things are going on, if you can get movement in there, if you get a feel for, so if you've used magic markers, felt markers to build up a sense of light and shadow, then yeah, use it. Okay, so storyboarding for games. Visualising the player experience. It goes quite similar with the visual experience for any application. It is an application and film. You're putting the two together. So if you've got a menu system, visualise how that menu system is going to come on. Is it going to slide up, or is it going to whoosh in? Is it a 3D box or whatever? Look, just talk about menus. Talk about game world. Set piece integration. So you have a character that is, say, doing a combat scene, and they've won the scene, and you've got the video. How does that flow in? So, has anybody ever played Doom? Played the original Doom? Have you played Doom 3? A neat piece of camera work in Doom 3 is that the cutscenes work well with the actual game interaction. So the camera at the end of a set piece sequence will move around into the back of the player's head, the avatar's head, to carry on the next sequence. So they've worked out how they can keep the drama and narrative going in between the set piece recorded rendering and the actual game interaction. We talked about narrative branching, so non-linearity can be quite tricky. You might have to build up a list of things where if the character's done this, that and the other, then do this. And that's where things like artists and drafts really come in handy, because they help you keep track of all of that whilst you're playtesting the story mechanics. Right, okay, so some of the tools of the trade. So creating a film, storyboard or whatever, the basic things, pen and pencil, obviously. But if you can get markers, so the pro markers, layout pads, they're extremely useful. The great thing about pro markers or the Letraset markers is that you can build up colour, and they feed in very, very fast. So you can work very fast, and you can get broad tone as well. I tend to work in monotone because I'm more concerned about the structure of the screen and feeling of light and shade. And colour will take a lot more time, because you think about it, as soon as you start introducing colour into your screen, you've got to then think about those colour choices. Yes, there's probably a point where you will have to do it. The DOP may say, well, I want to get an idea of the feel of colour. So, for example, Star Wars Episode 3 has distinct phases in the story of light, and they want to explore the different uses of light to emphasise the emotion of the screen. So again, another tool is a thing called pathetic fallacy. So if the drama's very sad, it's raining outside, it's introducing that element. Okay, so on the digital side, well, of course, there's loads of tools. I use sort of PowerPoint. It's a very basic way of showing a linear presentation of screens on the computer. Using the iPad, iPad's pretty obvious for presentation because you can scroll through it, but I also use an iPad for digital drawing. So I have a Wacom tablet with my Photoshop and a big screen, but when I'm out and about, if I'm with a director, I can quickly use a Pogo pen, and then I use a drawing program to then quickly get a whole load of sketches, and of course I never run out of paper. Okay, other tools I use, Manga Studio. We'll have a quick look at that actually. Adobe After Effects, 3D Studio Max. So 3D modelling. I was talking to one of my friends who's what's he working on at the moment? Well, he worked on Pirates of the Caribbean as a visual concept artist, and he was just basically saying that these days, you really do need to have 3D skills for concept development, but any kind of pre-visualisation, it's a really useful skill to have. So again, if you're thinking about going down that route, really get into 3D applications. Google SketchUp is a great way to start off. There's another program by Autodesk called Inventor Fusion, which is a really nice product design tool, but it's pretty easy to use, so you can build up environments. So say you wanted to have a tunnel and you wanted pipes and doors and things in the tunnel, you can build these up really quickly. And I use 3D modelling to be able to help me with some consistency in perspective, but also so I can generate a model and I can move that model around. I can put characters in there, and I can sit with the director and say, well, let's move the camera around and change the perspective view of the camera, change the lens, and we can then start to get a feel for how we want to carry on with the drawing. Yeah.